Are you ready to take your organization to the next level and become a game changer in your industry? Then look no further. Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, where we bring you the world's top business thought leaders to share their secrets to success, from leadership development to finance, marketing, self-development, human resource management, and much, much more. Our guests reveal the strategies, tactics, and mindsets that have made them so successful. So let's dive in and learn from the best in the business. Well, welcome back to another great episode. Man, I've missed hanging out with you over the last few weeks. We had some few difficulties. However, I know a lot of you have been listening and applying the concepts and the conversation that we have had over the last few weeks. So I'm glad to be back. And with me is a great friend all the way from Australia. Markus van Driel is here to share with you a concept that has been proven to help individuals, business owners, and first-time CEO like you and I get it right when it comes to building transformative relationships, be it inside the organization or outside the organization. And I know you're going to like what we're going to cover today. So if you're like many people who are listening to this and you are at home ready to write your notes, I encourage you to do that. This is the time to do so. Markus, man, thank you so much for joining me and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me here today.
It's incredible. You are onto something very special. You talk about work and living in a very different way. I know you've got a quotation that you said to me earlier on, and I thought, I need to revisit that. Would you share that with everybody?
Yeah, so I think really whatever we do in our career and our life, the big question we need to ask ourselves is, am I working to live or do I live to work? I think it's a really important question to ask and reflect back on with whatever it is that we do.
Yes. And I think we need to do that more often, because sometimes you get carried away with, I've got a deadline, I've got a project to complete, I'm on to the next big win. And before long, 2-3 years passes by and you think, okay, I'm actually leaving to work here, or am I working to live? So it's a great motto. Now, I know you doing a lot of great stuff, and real quick, you bring unique and transformative coaching approach that transcend boundaries and open doors to love and to live an abundant lifestyle. Tell me, when did you start looking into this and working into this project you're working on nowadays?
Look, I've been working in this space for a very, very long time, and I got introduced at a very young age as the power of the mindset, how to use your mindset and your thinking to create a different life. And then I was introduced to NLP, which is really a great way of transforming as well. And then on top of that, I got introduced to energy healing, and I sort of managed to take all of these things together and start to realize what it is that we can do and how we can use those tools to give us a foundation for our lives and for our happiness and for creating the things that we want in our life, whether it's personally or professionally and in our relationships.
Yes. And you cover a lot of great stuff. In fact, for those listening for the first time, I highly recommend you go check out Markus' website, which is the innerheartcoaching.com, where, Markus, you cover a lot of things and you help people discover, their true potential based on your experiences. Now, one of the areas that I'm hoping we're going to cover in great detail here is about building strong foundation for interpersonal relationships and also for professional relationships. In your opinion, based on the work that you have done, how important is becoming intentional in building those interpersonal and professional relationships?
I realized that more and more it becomes important to build those relationships. It becomes harder and harder for people to actually communicate, because most of the communication that we do is online through text messaging. And so I always say the more we have ways of communicating, the less we actually communicate. And I think looking at what happened during COVID, I think is a really great example. I remember after lockdowns in Sydney, which weren't as bad as in other parts of the world, you go out into the city and you feel really uncomfortable. So I really find that a lot of people, because of that isolation, it's become harder for people to connect. So building those connections and reaching out is far more important now than ever.
It is. It is. If you don't have those ones, you could be missing out on a lot of opportunities, because your next move, your next success is really tied into the relationships that you have. That's what I've discovered. Now, I know you work with a lot of business. Would you be able to share an example of a business that has significantly improved its performance through strengthened relationships?
Yes. So there are some teams and companies that I've been working with, and I've been really seeing that bringing people back together is a great way of working. And so there has to be some kind of element of personal connection with that. You give people the opportunity to connect on a more personal level. I find that if you give people the opportunities to connect on a personal level through social interactions, which are not necessarily team related, you start to build a stronger connection with the people as a group, and therefore the group itself will become more resilient. And I think as a leader, it is your responsibility to build those connections, and then to also share responsibilities amongst your team to make sure that people feel valued in that space. So it is like, as a business person, they always say you need to work in your business and on your business, or less in your business and more on your business. And the same is with teams. And that's what I've been finding. The people that are the leaders, the team leaders that have been able to work better on their team, on their business, and see their team as a business, and they're working on that business, they are more successful, and especially if they are able to grow stronger relationships within that team by building up those personal connections.
Yeah, incredible. As a coach, Markus, in your opinion, what are the common challenges you see first-time CEOs facing in terms of building effective relationships, be it within or outside the organization?
I think we need to look at the foundation of a person. And for me, the foundation of a person consists out of three things.
Right.
First of all, you must have a sense of purpose. You must know what is important to you in your life, what gives you satisfaction. You can see, for example, you can often see that people are passionate about something and they end up working in that field, and then they get promoted up. But suddenly they lose that connection with really what it is that they feel passionate about. So they start to lose that sense of purpose because they get promoted up. So for me, the first thing is to make sure that you are clear on your purpose, and that when you keep moving up on the ladder, or when you reach that position, you are still able to connect to that purpose somehow. The second part is really listening to your instinct and to your inner voice. I find that the best leaders, they are not only practical, they also have a sense of intuition, and they trust their gut instinct. Whether it is based on intuition or experience, they are able to tap into that. And then the third part of having a strong foundation is being able to communicate with yourself and use your inner voice to actually, and that inner communication that we all have, and to use that to strengthen yourself, to strengthen your confidence, but also using that voice to challenge your beliefs and your limitations and what is holding you back.
Just to follow up on that, what strategies or techniques you would recommend to overcome these challenges, like not having the right purpose or losing the sense of purpose as you grow. In your experience, what has worked and what can you suggest for the listeners today?
I really feel that when you start to look at this sense of purpose, you need to allow yourself to dream freely. And my first conversations that I have with people is I talk about, what is your dream? What is your purpose? If you had all the money in the world, what would you be doing? And many people, when you have that conversation, they say something like, oh, you made me, either they say, you make me realize I am on purpose, or they are saying, so there's actually really three camps in there. They say, I am on my purpose. They say, oh my God, after a moment of silence, they say, I never thought this is what I really feel passionate about and how far away I am for this. And I have some people that say, I have never been given the opportunity to express what it is that I truly want. So either way, what it is kind of giving people a focus, a compass to what I can work towards, like put it in the GPS, your final destination. And it doesn't mean that people have to go and reach that or go for that, but at least they kind of see whether they are aligned or what it is that they can do in their current life to work towards that or bring things in that I feel passionate about.
It's amazing that there are those three camps. And I think there are times when I fall into all those three camps and I have to, be reminded through my coaching session that, specifically my business coach is to say, where are you right now? Are you still working on your business to achieve that goal, or you are being, you have fallen, you've gone out of the path? So those are great questions to try to find answers and go back to. Let's talk about cultivating a positive work environment for any CEO and a new business leader. In your experience, Markus, how does a positive work culture attribute to living an abundant life in a business?
So I do a lot of work in the diversity and inclusion space as well.
Yes.
So, and I see that, we all know the statistics that embracing diversity is actually a good business model, right? Diversity helps you increase income, revenue. It makes people feel valued. So therefore they are more productive. So I think all of these things are very important to consider. So as a leader, you would really have to consider all of these different values that are being brought in your team. And I find the most interesting is often that there are people in your team who don't buy into these values at all because of cultural differences. So as a leader, it is really your job to start to embrace those and support people in all ways to bring in that. It really becomes about you bridging the gap between the people that are resistant and the people that need to feel this inclusion. And the way for you to do that is by expressing your support for everybody and showing your understanding. You can only really do that if you have a very strong foundation in yourself or within yourself. If your belief systems and your values and your sense of purpose are built on a strong foundation. So it comes just back, right? If you want to be that strong of a person, you need to believe in what it is that you're doing in your job, in your business, and in yourself.
One of the things I find about creating a positive work culture or environment is you have to be intentional. It doesn't just happen by accident. Experience taught me that if you don't actually go out and get people who have got different views from you and people who don't look like you, you are not going to attract those people. You end up having people that looks like you or who are going the same direction like you. But that doesn't allow creativity, doesn't allow, a different thought process coming into your organization. And if you want to be strong, thriving, and competing at a larger scale, you have to have all types of people in there, religious beliefs or, political views, have them in one place and be able to work in synergy. Not easy, but the output of that it truly is outstanding when you've got people of all colors, races, beliefs, have them working together. It truly is amazing what could happen there.
And I think one of the things we also need to consider, we all have our different skill set, right?
We do.
So one person might be very good on the analytical space, and another person might not necessarily be a great worker, so to speak, but maybe they hold the team together as on an energetic, emotional space, because they have a calming effect on the team, and so I think there is more things that you need to look at when you start to build that team. Because if you also just want to have a great worker, then you might start to miss out on other parts in the team that create a great unit.
Yes, and if you're a CEO, maybe you're starting doing this for the first time, you are not going to get this right first time. But if you're intentional about it, and if you are conscious of what is it that you're trying to create, and look at the most successful industry or business out there, you see that they are incorporating a culture, a positive culture that includes everybody in there. And you too, you can do that. Start small. Sometimes overcome your own beliefs, or prejudices. We all have them. Just figure out what is it that I want to do and what I want to get, and look for people who have got the skills to help you together, and you help them in the process, and you create an outstanding business as well. Marcus, as a follow-up question on that, are you able to share a specific case study where transforming work culture led to an increased productivity and financial success?
Yes, I can share the story of a manager, and she was working in a team environment, which was very challenging, and it actually impacted her relationship with her partner outside of the office. There was a manager which was very destructive. People couldn't really communicate with that manager. She was one of them. And as a result, when she would come home, she would feel frustrated, would take it out on her partner. So it was a work environment was toxic, and it impacted the home environment. And so working with her, what we actually did is we looked at how she was impacting the relationship. So I always say to people, because people always like to say, my partner this, my partner this, my manager this, my manager that. I always say, okay, let's take away this person, because you're in the room with me, so I can influence you. And what we did with this particular client, we looked at all of the things that influenced her and how she got to where she was today. So there was a lot of family stuff that came up unexpectedly, actually. And once we broke through that, her whole relationship changed. But also we looked at ways for her to start to communicate with her manager, with her partner. So first we broke down that historic energy that she was carrying forward that was really still traumatizing her. Then we looked at how she could communicate with the manager. We got her to evaluate the manager's style. And once we had that better, the relationship at work started to communicate. And the feedback she gave was, I am now the only person that can communicate with my manager. So I can get a lot from my manager. And therefore, her life became easier. Her mindset became easier. She became more productive. She started to produce more. She got more buy-in from the manager. And it was all because she ended up changing things about herself and started to look at the way the manager was communicating as a form of, with curiosity, let's put it this way, and as a learning factor. Yes. And then because work became easier, she took it home and she put some boundaries in place. So her way of coping was, I go home, my partner will be there. The agreement is I just go upstairs, get a shower, wash it all off me, and then I come home and I start to have the communication with her. And that really resolved all of these areas that she was struggling in, and it increased her performance in that space in the team.
You always start with looking inward and seeing where you are at yourself. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk about building professional and personal relationships. We have noticed that oftentimes CEO face the challenge of balancing these two, professional and personal relationships. How can CEO maintain harmony in both aspects for overall well-being?
I guess the challenge that most people face is that there is a power balance, right, between a CEO and its employees. But I think we talked about it before. You must be able to build a bridge between the people. Again, it comes back from you standing firmly in your ground. You must be able to have that personal connection. You must have that professional cloud, so to speak. Just give me a moment to kind of bring it in and tap into that. It comes back down to you being able to stand up for yourself. And I think that's really what it is. And you cannot build these bridges unless you are sure about what you stand for and who you are. And it doesn't matter how high up the chain you get, there's always a human connection. And it is those human connections where you show that you value other people at all levels of the organization. It is very important. And I've seen it before in the past. There are some great managers that are great at networking up. They are great at making connections with people up the ladder. But there's also people that are great of networking down, but some managers completely forget about that. Yes. So as a CEO or as a manager, you must be able to manage down and network down and connect down, because the more you are able to build connections in both ways, the easier it is for you to achieve things, because it is those personal connections that allow you, it kind of builds up leverage, right? So if you have great personal connections and you show that you care for people and you network with everybody in your organization up and down and on the same level, the more connections you have and the more buy-in you have, the more it is going to be possible for you to tap into that, I was going to say like wallet, bank account of goodwill in hard times, to help you through hard times. That's to get things done when it comes to that point.
That's right. As we come toward the end of our time together here, Markus, there will be people who wants to further learn from you, and some I know they would want to use some of your services. In order to do that, where can they find you?
Yes, what I recommend is you go to my website, innerheartcoaching.com, and there's an option there to start here. And there you can get a download that explains some of the processes that I apply in helping people to build that foundation and to improve the way they communicate with people. And also you can get a discounted coaching session to start with, just to familiarize yourself with me. And in that coaching session, what we are probably going to do is we will help you get clarity on your purpose. So that is really the first thing that we will then talk about.
Incredible. So just the website again will be below this recording so that you can just click and we'll be taken straight to Markus' website. Markus, talk to business owners here who are struggling. Maybe the sales are not going up. Maybe the team is not working together. Things seems to be falling apart. And maybe there's pressure, from finances, from legal team and from the accountant, or even at home. When you experience those things as a business owner yourself, how do you stay the path? How do you carry on going after your dreams and your visions? What strategies do you use?
I bring it back down to purpose. If you know that you're on the right path, you cannot give up. You can ask yourself this question: what will my life be without me being able to do this, right? Is this giving me purpose in my life? If you think my life can be better without what it is that I'm doing, then give up. But if you think, it doesn't really matter, because no matter what it is that I do, this is what I have to do, then keep going. then the other thing is, you have to go out and start to build those relationships and those connections of people that support you, that can help you find your way moving forward. And so that's really the two things. And then, of course, you need to keep believing in yourself and in what it is that you do. And then, of course, I would say go through that process and find yourself a coach. And a coach that is not just looking at all the practical side of things, but also can identify and help you break through all of those blocks and barriers that are stopping you and holding you back from achieving your purpose and greatness.
Incredible. Love that question there. What will my life look like if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Powerful question. Such a revealing question, and I hope that everybody will write those things down and continuously ask yourself during difficult times that you can do, because if you're not going through one, you can be certain that difficult times will come, but they will never destroy you as long as you stay true to the calling and to the vision that you have. Let's go help people wherever they are with whatever skill sets we have and the talents we have, and make use of ourselves in that capacity. Well, Markus, thank you for being on the show here today and being generous with your knowledge to share with everybody here.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Incredible. And would love to wish you the very best in your next endeavor. And guys, if you want that website, again, it's very easy. Go to the innerheartcoaching.com and you can connect directly with Markus on there. And you can also find Markus on Instagram. Just reach out for the instructional designer trainer or the life and relationship coach based over there in Sydney, Australia. Look, we always say this: never leave a place of discovering concepts or truth without scheduling a time frame when you're going to implement them. Can I ask you, have you discovered something new today from our conversation, or have you been reminded of something that you already know, but you're not really living it? Can I encourage you to schedule when you're going to implement it? Because if it's not on your schedule, it's not going to happen. So let's make it happen. We hope you are closer to where you want to be than where you were before we had a conversation with Markus. And once again, Markus, I truly appreciate you being on the call, and thank you for sharing your knowledge. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, live well, live with passion. Know that the best is truly yet to come. Goodbye for now. Thank you for tuning in to Yeukai Business Show. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode and have gained valuable insight and inspiration from our amazing guest. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review to help us spread the word. Also, be sure to check out our Leadership Ultimate Success Mastermind program, which is designed to help you and leaders in our community to do great things and support each other along their leadership journey. Until next time, live well, live with passion, know that the best is truly yet to come.